Okay, so I think for the second half of this, we can like let some people in. Yeah, let's do that. How about we express what we're most grateful for in the last week? You know, what happened in this past week that you're most grateful for? I'd love to hear that. I'd love to know. So yeah, let me know. All right, let's see who is available. Of course, Newe. Newe can kick it off. She's always here to kick it off. Yo, hello again.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm at a live concert for my school.
Wow.
I
Okay.
don't know who the person is. His name is Bryce Vine.
Nice.
So we're in here, but I'm pretty good. Um, what are you most grateful for
What
before
am
I?
I most grateful for? Wow. It's crazy how I asked this question. I didn't have an answer prepared. um, I don't know. I think I'm just grateful for life. You know, like I get up and that's how I start my prayers every morning. Like I'm just grateful for another day of life because I don't know. It's like life in itself is just kind of ever changing for me. So even on good days or bad days, I'm just grateful to still be here and to still have the potential to do more or grow more or learn more or experience more. Even on my bad days, I'm grateful for the chance that like I'm still here. So whatever I'm dealing with now still has a potential to change and develop, and even more, it has a potential to add benefit to the person that I'm growing into and becoming. So I think just life in general, being able to just be a part of existence. I'm also grateful, I think, um, for my relationship with God, which has been a driving force that I didn't really know I needed as much as I do until I had it. So I'm really grateful to kind of be in this space now where I know that I'm not alone in my life, and my life isn't just on my shoulders to bear. You know, like there is a deliberate and conscious hand above all of it that is deliberately put me here and is working with me and working through me to kind of shape me and lead me toward my best good, you know. So I'm just grateful to have that relationship and not have to feel so alone in my entire existence.
Like that. I
Yeah.
like that a lot.
What about
It's
you?
kind of similar. I actually have a really cool story that happened this morning.
Cool.
So outside, in front of the driveway, my mom had like a box of like ceramic plates that she didn't need no more. So we kind of just like put things out there in case somebody either wants to take them or they just get thrown away, or whatever.
Yeah.
And this morning, my sister was like running really late for work, and so like she like her car was parked right behind it, and she just drove over everything. So I woke up and I just heard like glass shattering, and I was like, what?
Wow.
So I went out there to clean it up, and hold up one second. The
No
only
problem.
thing, the only thing that wasn't broken was this, and it has
Oh,
the Hope Isaiah scripture.
let me
It's
see it.
it's hope for those. Oh, sorry. Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. And it's Isaiah 40:31. So it was really interesting that you were speaking about Isaiah, and it was really like,
Wow.
I don't know, I felt really, because lately, I'm not gonna lie, I've been feeling really like, I don't know, rocky in terms of like my faith, in terms of like what I'm great. Okay, I'm gonna answer the question first. I'm grateful also for, life. Like I was washing my face earlier. I was like washing my face and I was like, dang, I get the opportunity to have warm or cold water on my face right now. Not
Mm,
everybody has that opportunity. There's a lot of,
mm.
third world countries and people who just don't have anything that can't do this. So even just the process of just washing my face, I was like,
Something that simple.
yeah, it's just simple
Word.
things. But
Exactly.
like lately, like I've been feeling really, I don't know, I keep searching for this man. I keep searching for him, and I don't know if I'm letting myself feel him or not, or if I don't know. But it's like every time I look, I get like an answer,
Yeah.
all
I was just
of
thinking
all.
that.
It's crazy. It's every single time I look, I get something. Like I was watching this other video, for this guy named Tariq Ali or something like that, and he was talking about, feeling lost and feeling like you're not behind, but just like you have no control. And he's just, and that's something I've been trying to figure out and like kind of overcome the need to control. That's why it's like I find it hard for me to release things, find it hard for me to talk to people because I don't know what I don't want to. I'm trying to like, I guess, control like the outcome. I
Mm,
sometimes hold back because I'm afraid of pushing people away. I don't release because I'm afraid it's not going to turn out right, but I'm not in
right.
control of those things, you
Mm.
know? So that video came to me and I was like, okay. So like, you were telling me that you're here, and I guess I don't know how to, you know, just accept that he's here. Like, I guess I know no question. I'm gonna ask a question
No, no,
anyway.
no, no. You're super right. And I just wanted to like
Yeah.
say real quick that like I struggle with the same thing too sometimes. But even like hearing what you just described, you know, the story about this morning when you know your cup, your thing was crushed, and that one cup was left, and then you come on live later tonight, and it's like the same thing that's being discussed. I think that it's like God is constantly around us at all times, and he even we were talking about making hope out of chaos. It's like you didn't know that that being crushed this morning would actually be the revelation that he was putting in your life. So I think it's like just simple things that you need to sit down, or I tend to like have to just sit down and really think about it and be like, no, like my mind wants to like write this off as some kind of coincidence, but it's like, no, this is very much deliberate. And when you understand that like everything in your life is deliberate and happens, then you start to see where his hand has always been. Because I think we just write off his gifts and his blessings as like, oh, this just happened because it's like, no, 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 no. This is very much deliberate. Like, it's not by chance at all.
It's crazy. It's like there's like such a logical side of my brain that just wants to just believe that I'm like in this world by
Mm-hmm.
myself, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not.
Right.
And there's a song by the 1975 called If I Believe You. If you ever listen to it, that's
Yeah.
how I feel about God sometimes. He says
Right.
that he's an atheist in the song. I'm not an atheist, but like it's like continuing to like look for somebody who's right behind you is
Mm.
so, it gets, I don't know, discouraging, but it comes back to hope.
Word.
It really comes right back to hope.
Word
Like,
for real. And
and
trust, I think.
yes, and trust and having faith. I think it's just a matter of just letting go, just being like,
Mm.
okay, you're here.
Mm.
Okay, how can we work together now? You know,
Word.
but yeah, that's where I've been at. I asked, how are you today? Did I already ask you that? I did ask
You
you
asked me in a text, but I had answered like when I just started the live, and I was saying
that.
like I wasn't in like a very great space. I was actually like not I didn't want to get on live because I was like, man, I'm not in a good space. But then I got on live and it turned out to be like really cool, and I feel a lot better now. So it's like really like
Okay.
glad it worked out in this way. I definitely think that
Mm,
it was very much deliberate, you know. And like even that is like is another facet to the whole like conversation about synchronicity that we were talking about with God, and that like you know I was feeling like I don't want to get on live. I have nothing to say. I'm not in a good place. I don't want to think, but still there was something telling me like no, go there and I've got you, which I think is like I had to practice that faith and that trust in that despite the fact that I didn't feel like um I was in the space to even be speaking to people. It's like if God has a purpose for you or he has a reason for wanting your life to go a certain way or wanting you to do a certain thing, you have to trust despite your own doubts about yourself to understand that it's like it's bigger than you. And I think God sees us for more than we see ourselves because we don't give ourselves any credit at all for how great we are. But God can already see like all the potential that He put in you, all the dignity and the destiny that He put in you. So He's like, bro, like you can say what you want, you know, like I know what I can work through you, and I know what like you're meant to do. So to me, that's just another like testament to the fact that like sometimes you have to let go of our own need for control or our own need for even understanding and understand that things are bigger than us, and the best thing that we can do is operate in trust and faith and hope and see how it works out better because
yeah.
this just happened for me. Now I feel a lot better.
Yeah. I'm glad. Me too.
Tight.
Because I didn't smile too much, but I think like this, your lives have become sort of ritualistic for me. I like come to my room. I kind of just like I'm still for a minute, and then like I hop on, and I just it's like a regular conversation, and that's
Right.
so wholesome. And I'm really glad to be a part of this. Like I'm really glad to have these conversations with you because it's so like it's more grounding than you may think it is. And the imposter syndrome is real. Like you were mentioning something, my sister calls it imposter syndrome, when you believe that you are less than, or you're doing less than you actually are. Like you have like the whole world and people like seeing so highly of you, and you know,
Mm-hmm.
you have all these testimonies of you being more than you think you are, but you still have that like belief that you're less than.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
I think it's a big handicap, first of all. And I guess the last thing is just wondering like how you listen more to God when you fall into that kind of mindset of feeling way less than. um hi Nicole, my cousin's in the other room, she just hops in.
Oh wow,
um
that's
take
funny.
a picture.
I don't know, because I definitely deal with that where it's like I don't like feel like I'm this person who makes this insane impact, because I think for me, people see the whatever impact I might have, but for me, I'm just me in my room. So it's like I have to still be stuck with my thoughts and my doubts and my fears and my insecurities. That adds a whole different context. But I don't know, like I also think on the flip side of that, although it manifests now currently as like self doubt and imposter syndrome, like you called it also is a driving force behind what maintains my humility and understanding that my what I do isn't really me. Like I attribute any glory that I think people give me to God, because I'm like, I feel like I'm only a vessel here. Like I wouldn't be who I am if something didn't shape me and make me and build me and equip me with the wisdom or the speaking voice or anything to deliver this message. So it's like I can't then come and take credit as a middleman and be like, yeah, I'm this guy. Just like, no, I'm literally just like, I'm the vessel through which the light that you're experiencing passes through. So I think it's a double sided thing. Like on one side, it feels like being an imposter, but then when I'm in a better mindset, I understand that no, it's not that I'm an imposter. It's just that I'm a vessel, and I refuse to let my ego come and take over that and make it feel like it's all me.
Mm, damn. Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna say that. it's it's tough, but I think it kind of just comes with the realization, the reminder actually, that
Mm,
you're not alone, which is
yeah,
something that I be forgetting all the time, all the time. But I'm really glad that you said that, because honestly, it's just like you're not alone,
right,
and everyone's important. You know, we're not all the same, but everybody's so like important.
right.
And it's important to channel that and to remind yourself of that all the time, because like you said earlier, you don't want to be stagnant. You don't
Mm-hmm,
want to be stagnant just because you don't believe that you're good enough. You
mm-hmm,
know,
right.
you don't want to do that. You know, everybody has a purpose in this world. You know,
Absolutely.
and
No,
it doesn't, like you said, have to be big. I don't know. I do
no,
know actually.
no, yeah, that's exactly it. I think purpose. Sometimes we think about purpose and we think that your purpose only matters, say you're in this position where you're speaking to hundreds of people, and it's like, no, your purpose, even my purpose, first starts with how you treat people on a daily basis, the people you interact with, your family or your friends or strangers, because how can I get online and talk to people and kind of like be this way if I'm not actually embodying it first within my own personal life?
Yeah.
So I think that's where it actually starts for everybody. And sometimes sometimes your purpose might direct you to being online and speaking to people. Sometimes your purpose might be speaking to your friends and being a light in their life, but it starts for everyone at the core, and then from there your destiny will lead you to wherever it's supposed to potentialize.
Hmm. I like
Yeah.
that. Thank you. Thank you. I got to keep this in mind. It's important for everybody to keep it in mind, because, no matter how many followers, or no matter how many people you think that you have, or how many people you do have, it's easier to fall back into your head
Mm,
and to listen to, you know, everything that you think is true about yourself. Like, I'm not this, I'm not that, like, this isn't worth it. why even try? You're annoying these people, etc., etc. It's easy to listen to that and to be stuck kind of in that comfort zone of thinking than it is to really like step out and realize that there's more to this and
Right.
that like, you're gonna be okay. So
Mm.
it is ego, like C Dub says. But yeah, I'm glad that you were able to have me on. I'm glad that we were able to kind of share that because, you know, I don't know.
I'm
It's
glad that I'm glad you came on. You set like an amazing tone for the direction, so I really appreciate it always.
I'm glad. Thank you.
All right.
Gotta have more conversations, you and I.
All right. Yeah, just hit me up. All right.
Bye.
Talk to you soon. That was a really good conversation. That was very insightful. But,
Hey,
hey, hey,
how are you?
how are you?
I'm good. I was just looking at your life. I looked at your life for like today and then I was looking at it before. You just have like really insightful things to say.
Thank you.
So yeah. And then the girl that was just on, it was very deep. What you guys were talking about was very deep. I was like, whoa.
Word. Yeah, Noah is awesome.
Yeah.
How about you? How are you feeling?
Um, I'm feeling good. Honestly, I'm feeling really hype right now.
Okay.
I was on a like Maverick. I don't know if you know Maverick City Music.
I don't think so.
So they're like a worship. They're like a worship YouTube channel, and then there's also like I don't know if you know Brandon Lake either.
I'm not good with
No,
names.
okay,
I
so
might know like
he's
their work.
okay. So yeah, so like he is also a songwriter, and I was praying to God, and I was like, God, please let me be in this live. Like I was requesting his like their live, and I was like, please let me be in this live. Like I really want to show my original songs.
Wow.
So it turns out he picks me,
Okay.
and yeah, I was able to like sing my song to like 500 people, and I was just like, whoa, that's wild. So yeah, I'm really happy today. It was a good day for me. How about you?
I'm pretty good. I'm curious, how did that feel? Are you used to performing, or was it kind of like a first time thing for you?
No, I am not used to performing at all. So I was like, ooh, like honestly speaking, I wasn't nervous at that point. But right after I got off the live, I went to my sister and I started like screaming. I was like, whoa, 500 people were watching me. I was going
Word.
crazy.
Wow, it's kind of amazing you're still able to like hold your composure though. What
I
kind of
know.
music?
I was like,
What kind
huh?
of music? What kind of music do you sing, or what kind of music do you
Worship,
make?
worship
Worship
music.
music. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Could you give a preview? It's not 500 people, but it's a smooth 100. Would
It's
you
124 going down.
would you be comfortable like sharing that?
Yeah, of course. Well, I'm gonna sing a different song. This is not the one that I'm gonna sing. I'm gonna sing a different one.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Hold your tears, guys. Like
All right, now you
I'm
turn
playing, I'm
down.
playing. Okay, so okay. What can mortal man do to me? 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 I forgot. I totally forgot the song.
No, my
New
goodness.
song.
That was already going so great, man. Wow. No, keep going, keep going, keep going. New song if you want to. I don't mind.
Okay, I have to look at it because I don't have the lyrics with me right now. I was like, I know this song because I practiced it so many times, but
What is that song called?
okay,
Is it like Mortal Men?
yeah, it's called What Can Mortal Man Do to
Oh.
Me? But there's more to it.
Word.
But wait. If y'all want me to sing an actual like a real like a song that I can actually remember, let me know. But that one I totally forgot.
No. I'd love to hear another take. I will say like it's kind of crazy that you sing that song. It's really cool because like I just made a post on like even my other Instagram this morning because I was reading what scripture it was. I'm pretty sure it was in Isaiah. If anyone stirs up strife with you, they will fall because of you. You know, kind of like, you know that scripture. Oh
No.
Basically, there's a scripture, man, and it says, if anyone stirs up strife with you, they will fall because of you. And basically, it was kind of like God's way of reassuring Israel that, he creates. Basically, the scripture told me that it's like God creates you, and He also creates your enemies. So in that you don't really have to ever be afraid of your enemy, because there's nothing that they can do to harm you, if you have God on your side, because he's literally the creator of the very weapon that they would try to use to destroy you. So to me, it was like, wow, that's kind of very reassuring, because I don't know, it kind of like it allows me the peace in being able to approach the world with love, even approach my enemies with love, because I'm not intimidated by them. I understand that, like, yo, like, I'm good. He's got me, so I don't have to
Right.
feel the need to defend myself or, attack. I can actually lead with love, because I never have to feel intimidated. So I think it's really cool that you sang that song, because I was just reading a scripture that made me think about that very topic this morning.
Wow,
That's really
that's
exciting.
deep. I don't know that scripture. Yeah.
Right. Okay. All
Well,
right.
that's
Let's hear one more song, and in the meantime, I will listen.
Okay. I am chosen. I am chosen. But why? But why? But why? I put you through so much. I made so many mistakes. So
No, keep going.
am
Keep going. I
I
just found the scripture.
chosen? Show me the reason. Show me the reason. Show me the reason. Show me the reason. Do-do-do-do. I have no witnesses, but God, I saw that you were real. Cause when you came into my life, you told me I was worthy. When I saw all my flaws, and when life showed me all the brick walls, you let me have all the peace in the chaos. I'm still figuring this love of yours out. Cause this peace surpasses my understanding.
I love that song. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love
Thank
it.
you.
Wow, and your voice is beautiful. It's kind of crazy. Like, you don't have to do any preparation at all. You're just like, yeah, I can just like switch to my singing voice just like that.
It's all God. It's all God.
That's insane. That's beautiful. And thank you for sharing that. And I know it was backwards, but the scripture was Isaiah 54, which is really like, it's like
I
the whole
have to write
passage.
this down. We have to write this down. Well,
Isaiah
actually,
50,
just, yeah, go ahead. I'll try to remember.
Isaiah 54. Well, it starts at 51. It's like an entire passage. And I think it means so much more when you read it with that context. So if you start at 51, if you can see, the whole thing is actually highlighted, because it's just an insane, like, it's such a beautiful scripture to me. Such like a reassuring, it just always brings me clarity. I can always turn there when I'm having a low day, and just reading it, it always just like basically just paints my life right in front of me, and gives me a better understanding as to why I go through the things I go through. And it also reassures me. I think it's literally God's reassurance that, like, yo, I am here. I am actually here. So yeah, Isaiah 51 to 54, my favorite. I would say my current favorite scripture.
Wow. Okay, yeah, I'll read over it. I don't think I read it yet.
Yeah, check it out for sure. And I really appreciate you coming on here and singing. That was beautiful. That was amazing. You just brought the spirits
Thank
and
you
the
so
vibes,
much.
man. Okay.
Thank you.
Real quick before you go, what are you grateful for this week?
What am I grateful for? Honestly, I've been thinking about a lot of those people who are in abusive relationships, and like this coronavirus thing going on. I'm thinking of all those people who are like in really bad foster homes,
Yeah.
and really abusive relationships, and are, in a house that they don't want to be in, with people they don't want to be in with. And I'm just grateful that I have a family that, knows God and really loves God, and because they love God, they love me the way they're supposed to.
Yeah.
And I'm just thankful that they know God.
Right.
I wouldn't be the same person without them. So yeah.
That is beautiful. I can definitely relate. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for inviting me.
No problem at all. You keep on sharing it. All right, much love.
Bye.
All right. Wow, you guys are awesome. I'm always just surprised. Not even surprised because I expect it, but still, I'm always just taken aback every time we start going live together. It's always such a beautiful, beautiful experience.
What's up?
Oh, hey, you're still frozen. Maybe your connection is bad, but it's all good.
Yeah.
As long as I can hear you, it's cool.
Okay, cool, man. Yeah. Where was I? Yeah, I was talking about
Destiny.
destiny, right?
Hmm.
So I believe that destiny is something it exists, but it's very fragile.
Okay, what makes you say that?
The reason why I say it's very fragile is because if you're a man, right? Let me say if you're a man. As a man, right? Marrying the wrong person can actually destroy your destiny.
Mm.
You understand?
Okay.
So destiny can be a place that you need somebody else to get to,
Mm-hmm.
which can be called destiny helper.
Destiny's
Because
helper.
you really can't get there. Yeah, you can't get there on your own.
Okay.
Some destinies you can't get there on your own.
Okay, so you think there are like specific people and guides, if you will, that are placed in our lives to kind of guide us to our like our destined path?
Yeah. I believe because it's really, really crazy. Here's why I'm saying it's crazy, right? It doesn't have to be marriage all in all, but there are some people who exist only to help you reach your destiny.
Okay. I can
After they do, they pass away. Like you'll hear suddenly they just pass away.
Mm.
And it's a shocking, but like, what? How can this person pass away? I just met them a few months ago,
Word. But they were only in your life to guide you towards or guide you along your path. They may not have been in your
Yeah,
life to be permanent.
yeah. And I've realized something. I asked myself, okay, why would God do that? And there are some things that I feel like we need to understand as Christians, that God is God. We can't really ask him, why are you doing that? If God placed you as a destiny helper, you're a destiny helper,
Right. Word. I feel
because
that.
the life that is very important is not this life, it's the afterlife.
I feel that, bro. I fully agree with that actually.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
I feel that way entirely. I'm not so
Yeah,
attached to this life right now. I feel like the life, like this is like life light, like diet life. I feel like life for real starts after we're dead.
yeah, yeah. For real, man. Because of, bro, for me, I'm a follower of God,
Okay.
right? I'm a deep follower of God. Like, the reason is because of what I'm exposed to. His knowledge goes deeper than, I don't even know where to start, but I just wanted to talk about destiny. But I also wanted to ask you a question.
For sure. Nah, and I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you kind of like elaborated on that a bit. I think it was really cool for you to kind of explain your point. What's your question?
What do you think about, how do you think God views relationships?
Hmm. Um, are you talking about what kind of relationships? Like partners, friendships, marriage?
Let
What
me
kind
say, partners going into marriage.
partners going into marriage. So my opinion
Yeah.
of it is that like when you're walking a path with God, I think you'll realize that God actively shapes and molds you into being a better version of yourself, right? He shapes and molds you into being the version of yourself that you are meant to become, to do what
Mm-hmm.
you're placed here on earth to do. Um, at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, I think that he's also shaping somebody else who fits with you perfectly, somebody in their own individual life, right? Making them the person they're meant
Mm-hmm.
to be. But it's just that he creates you in this world with a partner. And I think that when you get to a certain place in that journey in yourself where you're being molded and you're growing and you're finding an understanding of who you are and what is at your core, what your purpose is, your relationship with God, when you get to the point where he needs you to be, where you can fully engage with and appreciate and understand and exist in a lifelong relationship, I think that's when he will introduce you to the person you're meant to be with. So I do believe in like soulmates being like, when I say soulmates, I mean your life partner. I believe there's a person made specifically for you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if you aren't
Mm-hmm.
engaging with your overall divine path to become the version of yourself you're meant to be, then you never really become the version of yourself that your partner is supposed to be with. And sometimes even we desire relationships so much that we don't
Yeah.
engage with the patience of working on ourselves and allowing life to mold us and develop us. We just want to be with somebody right now. But yeah, I think like, I definitely think that he makes somebody for every person. But in order to really get to experience that kind of love, you're gonna have to be patient and allow yourself to be molded, and allow it to happen naturally. I think it's very divine when it comes to soulmates and life partners.
Yeah, that's deep. That's deep. You took the words right out of my mouth. That's deep.
Well,
That's deep, man.
can I ask you a question
There's
in
some
response? I just
there's
want
someone
to.
that's saying,
You said
yeah.
what? No, what did you say?
I was saying there's someone that's saying now they're struggling with faith. I wanted to just comment on that.
Okay, real quick. And I also want to ask you what you're grateful for before we go to the next person. So yeah, answer that, and then and I'm curious about what you've been grateful for this week.
Okay. Okay, let me just say something about faith, right?
Okay.
Faith, I love faith. Faith is very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Faith, the Bible talks about faith so many times. I love faith. So, but here's the thing about it. It needs to be tested over and over and over and over and over again.
Mm.
Right? For you to be physically fit and physically be in shape, you have to go through the gym. You have to do that over and over and over and over, you know?
Right.
So for most people, the internal part is the part that is most difficult for them to actually improve in.
Wow.
You know? So it's difficult for them to realize, wait, I'm actually becoming more stronger.
Mm.
You know, because in life we have to grow. I believe that I've seen one of your poems is like, in life you have to grow. You know? Yeah. So yeah. But then what I'm grateful for this week, wow. This past week, what I'm grateful for this past week is how God actually speaks to me. You know, how he communicates with me. I don't believe I would wake up in the morning or during the day I would just decide I want to read a scripture. So I'm grateful that he sends the Holy Spirit to tell me that, hey, there's something that I want to tell you.
Wow.
There's something that I want to show you.
Wow.
So I'm grateful for that communication. I'm grateful that I can notice that this is God. There's no way you can just think about anything about the Bible or the Holy Spirit and be like, you know, it's whatever. So I'm grateful about that, because in a way I grow, you know.
Wow. I definitely relate to that. Like that's an amazing thing to have, and it goes back to what we were kind of discussing earlier, where it's like it's amazing to be able to acknowledge and know the voice of God, and know when you're being spoken to, and know when you're being directed, so you can follow that path that I think we all search for. So yeah, I can definitely resonate with that for real.
Yeah, man. But hey, thanks for accepting. I wish I had more time.
Ooh, no, thank you for coming on here and sharing, bro. You're a very, very wise. You're a very, very wise guy. It must be the beanies that we're wearing. We're starting up.
Yeah.
All right, man. I appreciate you getting on here.
All right, man. Thanks a lot, eh?
All right, bro. Much love to you. And we're back.
Oh,
hey.
It's real. Hey. Jesus is real. I'm sorry. Oh my God. This is crazy. Did you see they were saying my name? Like, okay, I gotta tell you this real quick. I'm really excited because I've been trying to get this live in for so long. Like, you called me and I was like, how the other girl, I forgot her name. She was saying that she had prayed to God to get on the live. And I said, Lord, I did the same thing, but she ain't wanted to let me in the other time. I was like, Lord, why you do me like that? But oh my God, I'm so happy to be on the live. Thanks, Nayway. You a real one.
You're so bright. You're so wow. You're awesome. Well, I saw you comment, and I was like, man. And I saw you comment the second time, like when it was crazy. Like, it was a moment where I was having a conversation with the other guy, and it's like you commented immediately, and I was like, okay, like I feel like my eyes were definitely directed. Like I have to let this person in. So that's why we're back here again. So how are you doing? How are you feeling?
I feel good now. The Lord has heard me. He has heard me. God, you are faithful. I'm sorry for doubting you, because I doubted him. I was like, Jesus, why? You said you're no respecter of person. Like, why is you doing me like this? Like, this don't make sense. Like, what? But I feel great. I feel good. How are you?
I'm pretty great. I'm really impressed by this tapestry that you have in the background. Did you
It's
make those?
actually, it's a shower curtain.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, you have a really dope shower curtain. I don't think I've seen a shower curtain that dope.
Thanks.
Really dope. How you been? How's your day been? What have you been thinking about?
My day has been kind of like, honestly, like a roller coaster. Like everything that you guys were talking about is just like, I'm nervous. Oh my God. Everything that you guys were talking about is just stuff that I was like talking to God about today. Like, my name is Faith, but like, yeah, I'm having trouble believing in him. And so, but overall, it was a day. I started my day off by like praying with my friends. We woke up early in the morning before I had to go to work, and we were just praying to God just to believe, and that people will begin to believe in the word and what he says. And so it was a good day. How was yours?
It was pretty my day was cool. It was like similar. It was a roller coaster. Like I woke up, but I was in an okay mood. And then I watched the video, and I wasn't feeling so great anymore. I went outside, and I was reading. I was feeling better, and then I wasn't feeling so great. So it's kind of just in and out. But now I'm feeling like really, really good. I got on live, and I wasn't feeling good when I started, but now I feel like a lot better. And I also prayed about that too. Like I didn't want to get on live, but I felt like God was telling me to like, hey man, no, do it anyway. So I just prayed for kind of his direction, and that he would kind of since I definitely didn't want to be here, I just prayed that he would kind of take the front seat and speak through me. And then as I'm speaking, I was just like, oh, bro, like that's not even me, you know? So like I feel a lot better now to kind of know that I'm being spoken through or even just utilized in any kind of way. So that's really good for me.
Yeah, that's so good. Oh, I'm like in shock a little bit, because Lord, you play a lot. You play a lot. Like, for real, like, he be testing me. And thank you guys for all the comments.
Or I think it's so cool how you go into conversation with God like that. Like that's awesome. That's really dope.
Yes, like, that's just how I am. Like, and thank you everybody who was talking about my energy. Like, I'm naturally like this. Like, people think I'm crazy, and it's but I just wanted to say though too, like that live that you did with Newe, like when she was doubting whether or not if she should sing and, you know, like make music, like that whole live just really inspired me just to follow my purpose again, because I know who I am. I know I'm a strong woman of God, and God called me to speak to people. And so it's like I had to go back, because I was like, dang, because I stopped and I fell off because I was outside of the will of God, and I was just doing my own thing. And like the coronavirus and quarantine is just like made me do a reset, you know, like just really evaluate everything that I did before. And God was just showing me that. And it's like, because of like you guys too, it gave me like a push just to, you know, go back to what God is calling you to do. Cause I was like, I'm sorry, Lord, I'm sorry. I was supposed to do it, and I'm sorry. But I'm just so thankful for what you do, because like you inspire me. And it's like, if I see any men who I know, especially men, I feel like today they need more love and more care, because like I feel like society kind of pressures them to be so strong, and they don't like get a chance to be as open, and you're so vulnerable. And it's like, if I see any man struggling, I'm gonna automatically send them to your page, because like you just have so much good stuff to say. And I'm like, yes, we need more men like Miles. You feel me? Jesus, do it. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm talking a lot because I'm nervous. I ain't got no chips with me.
Awesome, I love it. Like you're literally right now. It's kind of cool. I'm just in awe.
Thank you.
But no, thank you. I really appreciate that. You're so bright. You said that you think that you're called to did you say make music or speak?
Oh no, not to make music. I'm not anointed in that area. Just to speak. And so I started a YouTube channel a long time ago, and I made a video and I posted it on Facebook a long time ago, and it was about what it really means to have a real relationship with God and just some ideas of what that should look like, you know.
Okay.
And I was starting it, but I stopped and I fell off, and I just stopped it. And so I recently started it back, and I'm just kind of going where the Holy Spirit truly like leads me to go, and just to speak to people and how to grow your relationship with God, like, you know, how to connect with him. And like serving the Lord is fun, you feel me? Like it's
Right.
not boring, like it's not dry, like, because I'm not boring, I'm not dry.
Word.
And so
Can I,
yeah, just I know he's calling me to speak.
wow. Can I ask you then, what do you think a relationship with God looks like, or how do you go about kind of engaging with God or building that relationship from your perspective?
From my humble perspective, I'm no theologian or scholar, but I think a real relationship with God is something that's constantly intentional. You know, like when we're in relationships with people, it's like we talk to them, we actively engage with them in like relationship, and we're intentional about, you know, how we talk to them, when we connect with them, communicating and letting them know like what's going on with me. And sometimes we kind of like make God feel like he's this distant thing, but sometimes I feel like God just wants to have that conversation, like how I was just having with him. Like that's how me and my God get down. Like if God, I'm like, if I'm struggling, I'm like, God, I feel some type of way because sis just prayed to you, and like I know you're not a respecter of person, because you know I just prayed to you talking about I want to get on this man live and thank him for being in his calling, like literally like that.
Right.
Just being real, like,
Word.
and intentional with how you're talking to God. That's my perspective, you know.
Well, no, that's beautiful. I think that's very important, and I like the kind of parallel you drew between having a relationship with people and having a relationship with God. But I think that we don't realize that they kind of have a lot of similarities. Like we kind of treat God like he's this thing that's way out there. Like we got to scream for him to hear us. But it's like, no, like you treat it in the same way that you treat your relationship with your best friend or your boyfriend or your girlfriend. Like you autonomously decide to communicate how you're feeling, and you take the time to listen for answers. And I think for me, like his word is important, because it's like, well, you know, if I can't hear his voice, I can read his words and better understand like where he's at and what he's about and who I am in relation to him. So I think definitely like communication and just being honest is core to all of it.
Yeah. Yes. I'm sorry, I'm still a little shook. Thank you, Lord, again. I'm shook.
No, awesome. I'd love to like find your YouTube channel if you decide to like kind of jump into that again. Is it somewhere I can like look it up and find it right now?
You want my mind?
Yeah.
It's called My Faith Walk. It's like all together. I had that video that I made, like I was 17, I think. I'm 19, about to be 20.
Wow.
But I just made an intro video about my channel, and then I'm gonna be posting every Sunday, and actually the next video that I post is gonna be about how to grow closer to you. Just subscribe to me, don't make me cry.
You know what's going on. Wow. Okay, we have 2 videos up. We're live. It's tight.
Oh my God.
All right, so if anybody wants to check it out, I'm definitely gonna watch these after I get off live. I'm really curious because you definitely have like such a strong and vibrant and beautiful personality. Like you're just like the color yellow, you know, just like beaming right now. So, yeah, I definitely want to check these out.
Thank you so much. I love you. I know you don't know me, but I love you.
I love you too.
Oh, Jesus, there's a God. God is real. You can't give up on him. You cannot.
Without a doubt, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you for letting me join and come in. I appreciate the conversation and just you even talking, and you subscribe. Like, I might cry. I'm not going to cry because no. But thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on here. Thank you for bringing your energy and your light, and now you're like a new channel to watch. I'm really excited.
Thank you.
All right. Much love.
Bye.
All right. Bye. All right. Let me try to get one more person in here. My boy Trey was saying he wanted to come in here and talk a bit. I think this is going to be the last person because I'm feeling pretty tired now, although I'm feeling phenomenal and great.
Oh.
Yo.
Is it time?
It's
literally that time?
What's going on, bro? How you living, bro?
Hey man, I'm living. It's quarantine. Been bored, but
I feel that.
staying active though.
Okay, word. I
I
saw your
really wanted to
tweets and
talk.
I was like, man, I gotta get this guy in here. What were you saying?
I really wanted to talk to you about ego because I remember you had mentioned. Well, I mean, I remember we were talking. You were on live or we were talking privately, but you were talking about struggling with things about ego, and I was thinking to myself about really what ego is and the traps that people fall into with ego. Like
Okay.
it's like egos is like to me ego is what gives people that vitality, that confidence in themselves, that charisma, that go that you really want to be active and things of. So it's just about, but ego can be bad. You can be narcissistic, you can be addicted, you can have addictive personality, you can. Ego is a very, it's one of those things that it takes discipline
Mhm.
to really conquer. And so like for me, ego for me is like I've been shy. I've always been shy, and just like thinking that I wasn't good enough, wasn't worthy enough, wasn't capable of really being able to speak, or so I would just always stay quiet and never engage in certain conversations that I knew I could, but it
Right.
just like I felt like I just didn't have it,
I
like
can
some people do.
understand.
So it's just like to me, I had to start indulging in my ego, but being conscious of not like, well, I don't want to like being conscious of what things that I think about myself that I know I would be vain about, like, or that I feel like are just like,
So it's like finding the distinction between like your confidence and your complacency, you know?
yeah, yeah,
Word.
yeah, yeah.
Word.
Exactly, exactly.
Let me ask.
And
All right, now you go
oh
ahead.
no, go ahead.
Oh, I have a question. Like, do you think confidence is exclusive to ego, or do you think confidence can be found without ego?
I think they're two sides of the same coin.
Mm.
Like, ego is it's much it's ego is a broad spectrum, and confidence is kind of like a sliver in that. Ego is what kind of gives people like ego is what you need to have that confidence to do certain things. Like, you can be confident in just kind of like just in yourself, but to really go out there and put yourself out there, that takes a little bit of ego. Like, you gotta
Okay,
really,
okay.
like, say you want to go be on stage or you want to go speak to people. Like, some people are really shy and they can't just get it out, but they know that they have the words, but they
Mm,
just don't have that confidence yet. And that takes a
wow.
little bit of pumping up of the ego. You need somebody to be like, "Yo, you're good." Like, you have the.
Oh, so it's like ego. The ego you're talking about is like being able to acknowledge who and
Yeah,
what you are without
exactly.
like.
And there is the
Word.
bad ego of being like, "Oh, I have all of this." Well,
Yeah.
yeah, that it definitely it's a slippery slope. It takes discipline to understand ego. And so that's what I've been on a binge of, like, I've been on just a whole mental binge of just like conquering parts of my mind.
Wow.
But like, because I was talking to you about like conquering trauma, conquering shyness, like we were really having a sidebar conversation about that one day. But
That's
just
also a question I want to ask you about when you
mhm.
finish your point. I wanted to ask you because the last time we were on live, somebody had asked a question about how to deal with growing up in a toxic household or with toxic
Mhm.
parents. And I couldn't answer because I haven't grown up with toxic parents, but I know that you've kind of like dealt with that too. So I'm very curious, like if you can kind of elaborate on how you've kind of managed to become the person you are today. And despite the fact that you grew up in a toxic household, but from knowing you, like I also know that you haven't just separated yourself. You've actually taught yourself how to understand and exist with your toxic family. So if you
Yeah,
can kind of like explain to me.
toxicity for me, I had to learn to love the person, not
Okay.
and not feel like loving them out of responsibility or obligation. Like, for me, family, especially close family, was always hard to love
Mm,
because it felt like I was obligated to love them, but I just didn't know how to. We just didn't know how to show each other the type of love that we needed.
mm,
And toxicity is just like, sometimes it's like I had to really separate. Like, I had to be mad at them for a long time too,
mm,
of really just separating myself and really figuring out like what harm was done to me. Like, it took me to sitting with you and sitting with people that had well to put together families to figure out how fucked up my life was. Because
Right.
at some point it just becomes normal. And you think that this behavior is good until you take it somewhere where it's not. And then that's off-putting to somebody. So I think it's about, I had to learn to love, for somebody particularly that's like my stepdad particularly is kind of toxic in my life. I had to learn to love him as a person, not love him because I have to, because he's my mom's wife or he's my mom's husband. Like, I had to love him for the person that he is. I had to learn who he was, learn what he's been through,
Wow.
and learn to love that. It's just like, he's still learning, he's still growing, even though he's way older in years in life than me. But it's just like, he has some heavy shit dealt to him, like some just, and when you have heavy stuff dealt like that to you, and you don't learn how to deal with it, you deal it to your descendants.
Generational word.
Yeah, exactly. It just ends up being a generational curse. And so it's just like, to break that curse, you have to understand where it started.
Wow.
And just really just digging back and understanding, well, oh shit, like, yeah, that's definitely way rougher than whatever problem I'm thinking about right now.
Taking the time to understand like that a person isn't the way they are just because like they also have,
and sometimes you gotta just, like, I had to challenge them with kindness. Like, they would be assholes to me, and then I would be kind back, and that would throw them off. Like,
wow.
Yeah, like, yeah, you know, some people like are looking for that. They've subconsciously got ingrained that negative feedback is good feedback, or that's the feedback that they should be. That's
what they expect, or
that's what they expect. So when you give it to them, then that makes them think about, well, why do I throw off that energy in the first place? And so when you figure out a way to make this person think consciously about how they treat you in a good way, that's how you can really start healing that relationship. Wow. Because sometimes people just like will just say fuck it, and I don't really care how you feel, but I do care how you feel. I want to know, like, I really want to get to know, like, I'm not trying to continue this bad because it's not good for either of us.
Right. Wow. I think that's a major, like, for one, you just said a lot to be unpacked, but I will say, like, one thing that popped out of me was like you finally being able to make the distinction between loving your parents as parents, or your peoples as peoples, and loving them as actual human beings, and realizing that this behind the titles we put on them, like mother or stepdad, there is a human being, a person who's still growing and developing and learning, who's also had life experiences that have shaped them. And it's not to say that it's an excuse, but it's just to be able to fix something, you have to first understand it. So you
understand the problem.
Exactly. When you understand that this person is struggling with their own demons and their own faults, then you don't take their toxicity, for lack of a better term, so much as an attack on you. You actually see it as the reflection of something that they're dealing with internally. So in turn, you like you said, you offer them that kindness, because what I realized too is that people who are toxic know for the most part that they're toxic, or even subconsciously. So they expect people to react to them with rudeness and with attitudes, because that's just because of how they are, without even realizing that they produce it.
And it's self-gratifying. It's self-gratifying.
They're used to people treating that way. Right.
Yeah,
so when you offer kindness, it's like, wow, like now you put me in a space where I have to like really
I gotta be thinking
my
about
actions, and you know, like, so yeah, I think like that's major, and I'm glad you were able to like kind of bring that to light, because I personally, like, I could never really, I can't speak from experience. I can only speak from observation.
It was definitely difficult. Like, I had to go learn myself first. I really had to take the time to really dig deep into what makes me, like, really who Trey is, and like who I am to me, who I am to other people, and who I am to my family. Like, that was the biggest things, because it's just like we wear different hats for different situations.
Yeah.
And so it's just like figuring out, like, you know, which hat is appropriate for which situation, and when to take off a certain hat going into a different situation, and just how to kind of make them uniform to where it's not like you have to do a whole bunch of acting and things of molding, but sometimes you just got to just carry yourself in a certain situation that it may not feel good, but it's just like something that you have to do. And like me, it was just like, I had to really sit back and deal with a lot of stuff because I was so angry. I was very, very angry. So I had to really go and process and unpack and cry and really just deal with it with and without people so that I could understand more about myself, and then being able to give that passion back out to people so that I can start helping them out of the situations that I was in, because I was really down bad. Like really down bad.
Right.
It was
Wow.
bad. It was bad. And to like looking back now, being able to recognize how bad it was is comforting, because it's just like I've come so far, and I know I still got far to go, but like it's finally been good to kind of just feel like, oh yeah, a lot of shit is off my fucking chest. Like I got that out my system. Like, yeah, it feels like, you know,
Word.
I don't feel bad about that anymore. Like,
Word.
you know, it's good to have that charisma and and that just security in how I feel.
Wow. That's beautiful, bro. That's beautiful. And I've first like witnessed your growth like since high school. So even like
Bro,
like I tell you all the
yeah,
time,
yeah.
it's beautiful to like see like how you've developed just as a person, bro. Just even from the sidelines. So that's amazing, dog.
Hold on, I'm reading this thing. It's hard to love someone as a June seeing like this. This person, I don't know whose comment. It's Arjavir Manku. It's hard to love someone who's beats up a mother, and so many children grow up seeing this. Personally, like my stepdad did beat my mom at some point, and it was difficult. It's definitely, that person hurt my, like that's my mom, like, and you really don't. It's not like it's not like this person's biologically associated with my parents. This really kind of, to me, is a stranger. So it's just like you're really stepping into. So it's just like how to deal with that was, I had to learn that it was really done to him. People like his parents beat on him, and so it just like subconsciously he thought it was okay, because eventually he would just get to a breaking point. Whereas you get so mad, this person's aggravating you because they're challenging your spirit, and you can't deal with that. So you act out, you lash out. And it's not correct, it's not appropriate, it's not good, but it's real though. And I don't care, somebody's been there where somebody is challenging you and you just don't know how to cope, so you fight. And as a male, that's what it is. Like if you're brought up in a certain type of situation, flight doesn't exist. It is fight. Flight is that'll get you, that's death. So fighting is how you get out of it. It's not good, it's bad. It takes time to understand where that comes from, but it's usually something that has been done to them, or something that they've seen done, so they think it's okay. Or they know it's wrong, but they figure out a way to validate it. But there is no validation for that, especially if you're on the child's point of view looking at it. But it's just like, people like, in a lot of times we think as a kid we know our parents' relationship as well as we think that we know them. And my parents' relationship, I had to learn, was they had a very different relationship that they would show me versus the relationship they had between each other. It was radically different than what I was growing up with. Like, and I really didn't realize it until I left the home. And so like, now that I wasn't there to kind of be witnessing or I wasn't there kind of being the third body, really third energy, kind of just dealing with stuff and just mixing up how it's supposed to work. So it's just, you don't really realize that this person kind of, the relationship is that they have it's exclusive of you and inclusive of you at the same time. Because it's just like, they chose to marry each other, you know, whether you were conceived before the marriage or after the marriage. And so it's just like, they knew this person a great deal of time before you knew them. Usually
in different contexts too, like
in different contexts. And sometimes it's just like, it's easy for us to idolize our parents in a certain light, but it's just like, this opposite person doesn't see all the idealistic behaviors that I see. This is my mom. She's always going to be perfect in my eyes. She birthed me, but she's still like, to someone else, she's human and she has her flaws, and those flaws can be good or bad. And same thing for my stepdad. Like it's those flaws can be good or bad. It's just the making of how you like of it's really just about being self-conscious. A lot of
Mhm.
times it's just like we become numb to the emotions, and we just go through life just kind of just day by day, minute by minute, just ticking it off, making sure that we're just happy enough to where I'm not trying to pull my hair out. I'm just doing enough to get by, but not really like really fulfilled, like not necessarily making sure you're fulfilled and really getting into it.
Word. So you,
But yeah, I hope I answered
I think
that question well.
no, I think you are. I think I saw definitely a lot of people who are resonating. I even
Yeah, I mean,
was a whole different perspective. And I think it ties back what it sounds like your main kind of shift or understanding is that like you've you've done the work in yourself to develop the patience and the understanding to allow the time to understand another person. So
yeah,
all the actions you've kind of, it sounds like you've rescripted them. So the narrative of he beat my mom so I automatically hate him has turned into, although that is wrong, let me try to understand where that behavior came from and why it's okay in his mind, to better understand the dynamic that they might have, to better understand them, if anything else, just as human beings. Because once you can kind of see them, like you said, your mom, you idolize,
idolize. Mm-hmm.
but to another person, she's just a human being. So it kind of takes you stepping back in a way. You still love her as your mother, but you also admit that this is a human being, and you see her from that lens rather than the idealistic lens. So then you start to see the reality of the situation, which
Exactly.
kind of, I think, allows you to go deeper and understand the background to everything.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly. Like it just, and that's just part of me just being observant. Like that was just
Right.
something that I've always listened and watched very closely. So just taking all of that stuff that I had been watching and going back to figure it out or go plug and play with it, where it's just like, okay, I know why people act this way now. Like that makes sense. Like I can see where these behaviors link up. Like, and it's a lot of stuff is just people don't understand how much your subconscious dictates. I think people get too with higher consciousness. To me, higher consciousness is about understanding your lower consciousness. Like you really got to get connected with it, understanding what like there's so much that your brain absorbs between ages 3 and 12 that is subconscious that we just don't understand, that we just learned and just absorbed, that we don't get it until we're about 20, 21, 22, where we've had time to separate like experience that were just kind of like just felt like they were happening versus things that we see like we witness. Because it's like you live through certain things and then you feel like shit that you just kind of like just witness. Like, yeah, you lived through it, but it almost like you were watching it happen versus being like you were an actual kind of like physical playable character in it.
Or
And yeah, it's just like I wanted to delve into the subconscious, and it was just like for me it was understanding trauma, because I had a lot of built up just pain and anger that just wasn't being sorted well and wasn't being it was a hindrance to where I was trying to go. And what really did it was I had to start being creative. Like I was a very analytical, like this is it, logic. Like there is no if, ands, or buts. Like there has to be a cause with certain effect.
yeah.
Like they're not, there's not separable. But when you get into the creative space and you start understanding what art really is and things of that sort, and you start to really just really get acquainted with different point of views and multiple perspectives, and it's just like, okay, well that those same things apply to real life. And
We were talking about that the other day too, about like seeing life beyond logic, because logic ironically limits us in a lot of ways, because so much of life exists beyond what we can understand. In the same way, like we have a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. So much of what is at the surface in your conscious mind is actually dictated by what you don't see or understand in the subconscious mind. The same thing with life. Like so many things that we see logically are actually founded on things that we don't understand logically, things that exist beyond logic. And that's where I
You
think
know?
things like spirituality and understanding,
Yeah.
like the distinction between your spirit and your ego and yourself, all that comes back to you being able to see beyond what is physical. Because like we talk about ego, we talk about spirit, but these aren't physical things. Like you can't
Yeah,
point out where or what your ego is. You just know
exactly
it
what
is
it
different
is.
because you delve
And
into
that
your
takes
mind.
time with just, you got to sit with yourself, really
Right.
sit with yourself and just watch and question why you do certain things. Or that's what I did. Like I would question why I did certain things, why I felt certain ways. And I just really took the time to kind of just answer it, but not just like write it off. A lot of times it's just easy just to, oh, I feel this way because this bullshit's going on. And it's just not like that. It's something deeper that's causing me to feel this way. So
Right, exactly.
what's really, let's get to the bottom of this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the driving force. I wanted to get to the absolute bottom of things, because that same analytical mindset that I had, I started to apply it to like spirit and ego and consciousness.
The creative side
And
of
just,
your mind.
yeah, it was about really just focusing and taking the time to meditate and really clear your head, like really put thoughts aside, really take the time to. And it's hard. It's really hard to start meditating. It's hard to start sitting with yourself. None of this stuff is easy. It's easy to talk about it now because we've done it, but to somebody who hasn't started their journey yet, it's difficult. It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be easy, but it will definitely be rewarding, and you will feel so much better.
Right.
To take the time, even like no matter how you do it. Like you're big with religion and God, like not necessarily religion, but spirit and God, and like getting into the Bible. I've never really, it's never spoke to me in the same way it speaks to some people. But I
Yeah.
get where it comes from. I understand how it exists. But for me, I had to scratch it a different way. I had to come about it in a way that made sense to me, not just reading this scripture and trying to really kind of just, because sometimes scripture to me would just seem too abstract. And it would be hard for me to take it and apply it to my real day life, where we have internet and we have this and all these things that exist that are distractions that make it hard to really kind of take that very scripture as abstract concept and apply it in a very focused manner. So
A
it's just like,
realistic
for me,
word.
I had to think about it backwards. I had to think about, well, how can I take this very focused pen, like scalpel-esque type of thinking, and apply it to the spirit, to things that don't have answers. That things that or you have to answer it for yourself. Like it's not, somebody's not going to give this to you.
Wow.
Like you really got to figure it out for yourself.
Wow. That's beautiful, man. I think ultimately, like, we're all seeking at the end of the day still the same truth, the same
Yeah.
comfortability within ourselves. And I like what you said about, like, you know, the journey of like even embarking into the self and figuring out yourself, because like it is hard and it is a journey. Like, and the journey isn't easy. It's more than just like I know these truths now and I'm gonna apply these changes. Like, you might feel it now, and then next week you're gonna be depressed, and then next week you're gonna be spirited. Like, it's a journey, but you continue on it, because it's like now. I remember there used to be days where I was so uncomfortable in my body. It's like I would find myself adapting to every room I was in because I didn't know who to be. So
how to be me in my, how to feel like me in my own skin.
yeah, exactly.
Like,
So I used to just appease like my environments and appease people around me. Whereas now I think after going through this journey, through the pain, through the hardships, and really understanding what I've been through and being able to see my journey and see how far I've come, it's like, yeah, no, like I can stand on who I am because I know what I've been through. I know what I've been through to get here. Yeah.
There's no budging this. I done figured it out. Like,
right. And it's just a continual journey from there.
And another thing that you had touched on in one of your lives was about like really capitalizing on respecting my boundaries and really being able to, some people just, they give too much, people will do what they want to you and how they feel about you. Like it's another conscious being that has just as much free will as I do. So they're going to act in a way that is kind of self-fulfilling to them. So if somebody's not necessarily playing by the rules that I want them to play by, I mean, I'm not going to make them, but it's just like, if I got to separate myself from you, then I'll do so.
Word.
Like
exactly. As you continue
you
your
talk about
individual journey. Word.
And it's just like getting to a point of being secure in yourself, just really taking the time to sit and think and meditate and unpack. A lot of stuff for people is repressed. A lot of stuff is repressed, and sometimes it's hard to talk about it with people, and it's hard to talk about it with yourself.
Word.
So it's like, how do you do it? And it's like, for somebody else, go talk to God about it.
Mm.
Like for me, it was hard for me to talk to God about it because I always had such a hard relationship with God because I have sickle cell disease, and it's just like, this feels like a curse. I always felt like my mom would always make me read Job. Like that was like her biggest thing, was like, you got to understand like the story of Job and why he was put through so many trials. And to me, it was just like, yeah, Job is, yeah, he's cool, but like that shit was bad. God put him through a lot.
Word.
A lot.
Like lost
Like,
all his
God,
kids,
those
all his
bad
land, all
treatment.
his horses. Like,
Yeah, like he put him through a lot, and to not lose that faith, and it's just like at any point he could have cracked.
yeah.
And it's just like having that strength, and it's just like, that's, to me, Job was always the extreme example. But how do I get there for me?
Yeah, where he's a character study for sure, but I can definitely understand like applying it in real time. I think I was actually, my friend just like was posted like the story of Job, and I was like, I was talking to him about it, and I was just like, bro, like for me when I read Job, it's like, it's not so much about the things that he had to go through. I look at how he responded to the
how he responded to it.
Yeah, like when I remember when his kids have died off, and his wife was like, you need to like, you know, go repent or whatever, because clearly God is striking you down
Angry,
for some wrong that you've done. And
took
his
a
response
totally
to
different.
that was insane, because his wife wanted him to respond in anger for all of what had been taken from him. But I don't know, like his response was like, you know, God gave me these things, so God also has the right to take these things.
Right, to take them away.
And it's like, dog, like, you know how much strength that takes to be like, bro, like, you know, like I got all these blessings. I was the richest man in the land, and it was a blessing. So in the same way that I was happy when I was blessed, I can't be upset when they're removed from me. I was like, dog, like that is some faith. And I think it's like, it's, the whole story is cool, but I mean, I do agree. Like people tend to like throw it at people when they're going through it. Like read Job. And like, you have to take the time to walk through it and understand why, like it's relevant, you know?
Yeah, and it's just like Job had a discipline about himself that he just knew himself to know his faith in God. And that's a lot of people. Yeah, he knew himself. And a lot of times, like we just people just don't understand that your relationship with God is equally as much as it's very like what Faith said. Is you got to be active about it. It's got to be conscious. You got to engage. Like you got to. It's not just, he's not just going to do everything for you. You got to do some stuff for yourself. I think a great poem that my mom had, it's called Faith, and it's about or it may be a parable, but it's you and God are walking along the beach, and you can see the footprints, and as the footprints are being washed away by the ocean, you can always see yours. But at some point while I was walking, I only saw one set of footprints. I thought God was walking with me, but no, God was actually carrying me. Right. That's what. Yeah. That's
when you thought you were alone, you were actually being.
You were actually being held. Like I never left you. I actually carried you through this. Like,
bro,
the things that God would.
That's actually fact, and that you just kind of put into words like my experience like last year that I was talking about earlier, where it's like I think you were there when I was having like my whole like mental breakdown, and I like went rogue, like completely distant and cut off. Like I felt more alone, I think, than I've ever felt in my entire life, because I was having a mental breakdown. I didn't think anyone could understand me. All my friends were just in their own lives, having to go in different directions, and I was like, wow, I'm actually by myself. And I felt like I feel like I was trudging through mud by myself. And now I look back in retrospect, and I'm like, when I see it now from the context of who I am today, and I see how that all of that chaos, it eventually guided me to who I am today. And even more than that, looking back, as hard as that time was, there was never anything I was presented with that overwhelmed me. You know, like there were times I was thinking about suicide.
Never put anything more than you can bear.
It was never more than I could handle, although it felt like more than I can handle in a moment. In retrospect, I'm like, I just didn't understand and realize.
My uncle has a very funny saying about that. When people tell him, he's like, God will never put more on you that you can bear. He's like, yeah, he'll never do that. But that does not exclude the fact that shit will be heavy though. It does not excuse it at all.
It's a testament to your own strength, right? It's a testament to your own strength, because I think if if nothing else, it's like when you get that heavy load on you that you think you can't hold, and then you realize like, oh, I am holding it up. You start to realize that it's not
Yeah.
that you're weak. You just didn't understand your own strength.
You're
And
showing
sometimes
strength.
you got to go through things to reveal to yourself how strong you actually are, and then you come out better from it. Because now I know, like, bro, like I might contemplate suicide, but I promise I'll never kill myself. Like I know
No.
in my soul, like I know it'll get hard, and in my mind I'd be like, damn, I don't want to exist right now. But I also know, like, bro, there's nothing that's going to take me off this planet, because I've seen myself go through the darkest of dark times.
Yeah,
you know,
like
even
for
now,
me,
go ahead.
being at the knocking of death's door, like really understanding the darkness that's on this other side of that. Like first, like I'll get in too much into it, but you know, like that, yeah. But it was difficult because I felt so alone, like so alone. Just and for my body to be in pain, my mind to be in pain, like everything, just from a physical to a spiritual, like everything hurts. You really want to give in, and that's what it felt like. I was letting go because it was just like, shit, like, man, I've been holding out so goddamn long. I'm waiting for this break, but I don't know how long I can hold. And that was like the point where I let go, was like the point of just the darkness. Was like when I let go and stopped trying to really fight for my own life. It was just like, that's what the scary part was that, like, when it's just that emptiness, that void of not knowing what part of life am I on right now. Am I in my own head, or am I actually dead? Because on this machine it says I'm dead. Wow. But like, I'm here now, so I wasn't dead. But you couldn't tell me otherwise in that moment.
In the moment.
Yeah, you couldn't tell me otherwise. Like, yeah, it was just, and to know that. But what came out of it was an extreme level of calmness, because I used to struggle with thoughts of suicide. I used to just think I wasn't good enough, and that I didn't have what it takes. I didn't have anything good to contribute to the world. And the world was in such a shitty place that no matter what, I got it bad, she got it bad, everybody's got it bad. So like, what am I, what can I do? Like, what am I here for? Like, and that was like the things that I would struggle with. And so, like, for me, it was just like, when that experience happened to me, I had such a calmingness, because I wasn't scared to death anymore. Wow. I really wasn't. Like, I was at one with it, because it's a harsh reality that we all got to live with. And the ultimate thing that it taught me was that you don't know what's on the other side. And so, like, when people, specifically a lot of religious people, are always planning for the afterlife, I'm like, that's a good thing. But, like, really, it's about for the people that you're here with now. Because when you leave, they're the ones that are the most hurt. They're the ones that are really, that grief, grieving a child, grieving a parent, grieving a friend, like, that's really hurts. When that person is gone, that's the pain. But when you know that you were content in how you lived, it helps them so much more than what you could have ever did.
Right,
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, have that security in knowing that. I think a lot of the grief, at least definitely in my experience, like when Michael passed in high school, you know, like, I think a lot of the uncertainty was that, like, I didn't know where he was in his life at that time.
Exactly.
I didn't know if he felt fulfilled. I didn't know if I was a good enough friend. I didn't know what our relationship was like. And I think, like you said, it's very important. And I think it's something I don't consider enough too, that it's like, you know, this life isn't just about, you know, preparing for the afterlife. It's also making sure that the people who love you know that you love them, and even
love them,
know that you feel loved by them.
Them. Exactly.
Which is important as well. So yeah, that's like, but I agree, bro. Like, we don't know what's gonna come in the afterlife. But one thing I do believe in my heart is that, like, when you're walking a life, like you said, of contentment, where you're not in fear of death. You're actually walking with purpose, and you know, like, you know what, I'm doing my best. I don't know if I'm doing it right. I don't know if I'm doing a great job, but I'm
doing my damn best.
Doing my best. I think it's like, well, whatever comes after death, I know can't be terrible, because when I know that, if I know nothing else about God, I know that He's good. In regards to, if there's good and there's evil, God is on the good side. So I know that if I'm trying my best to be the best person I can be, like, when I die, me and him are gonna have a conversation. Like, okay, well, what now? And I can only imagine it, like, so long as I was trying my best, that whatever conversation we have, he's going to be proud. He's going to be happy about it, because I believe that it's love at the end of the day, you know?
Yeah, it's all about that love and making sure people feel love. That's what I've been doing. It's
Right.
really, even if I really don't like you, I'm still gonna make you feel, making sure like you feel like you're loved. I'm gonna take the time to pour what's in my heart into yours, because everybody needs it. Everybody needs to be feeling loved, and to feel wanted, and to feel like they're contributing, and to feel like they're not
Understood.
just to be really understood. And it's difficult sometimes because we just don't have the answers, and we search for them in bad ways. We look for them in things that are definitely not going to give us the answers.
Right.
How we cope with it, and a lot of time it's just like we learn bad coping mechanisms. Like nobody taught you how to cope. If you think about it, you just know that's how you deal with something. Like, like for some people, when they're going through a hard time, they got to retreat, and for other people, they got to act out. Like, it just everybody's different. Some people just deal with certain things differently, and to understand, like, well, why do people deal with these things in these different ways, and how to approach it, so that if this person is an internalizer, then I know that I gotta go get into their heart. I gotta go get into their mind. I gotta go pull that out to the forefront, so that they can externalize it and really get it out, because internalizing it hurts you, like on a spirit level. When you let all that stuff just build on your spirit, you're suppressing it.
Yeah.
And then people that are externalizers, it's just like about how to getting people to understand, like, well, there's a way to express this, and there's you're not wrong. I don't want you to feel like your emotions are wrong. Like they're yours. Like, you deal with them how you're supposed to be, how you feel you should deal with them. But there are healthy ways of dealing with certain things, and just teaching people the healthy ways to deal with things, not to give in to the easy things. Sometimes it's just like it's a discipline thing, like that just understanding that I got to do this a certain way so that I'm better about it later.
Word, exactly.
Because I don't want to, because it's one thing to be feeling good about it now, but it's going to feel temporary. I want to be secure in it later. Like, I want to be secure forever.
Sacrifice what's like easy or convenient now for what is better later. Like, you might want to go off now, but right now you're flaring and you're angry, so that's what's most convenient, to just go off and let it all out. But then tomorrow you wake up and you're calmer because you've given yourself time, and you're like, damn, like, I don't want to be represented by that version of myself. I don't
exactly. That's not who I am.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that behavior is unrecognizable to me. Like, it took me a long time to really realize, like, to really understand what my anger was, and really dealing with it, and where it cut, like what made me so angry, and where it came from, and just like processing it, like just taking the time to. Meditation is huge. Like, meditation is huge. Praying is huge. To me, they're the same thing. It's just you go about it different ways.
No, for real. Like, I think praying is like they're in the same realm, right? Like, praying is more like I'm speaking what's on my heart, and meditation is more like I'm listening for an answer. So it's actual conversation there.
Yeah.
I think you could even do it. I was actually like, I had this insane experience like the other day. There's this girl, I don't know her at, but she does like guided meditations, and bro, craziest experience, dog. Like, I get on Instagram and like I see her going live, and I click it, and she's doing these guided meditations, and I'm just like, I'm not gonna sit here and listen to no like guided meditation.
Yeah, somebody guides you.
But then I don't know, it's something there's that same voice was just like, it just made me want to stay and just give it a try. So I was like, all right, bet. So I laid down and I put the phone beside me, and she had the music playing, and she was talking, right? And what she said was, she was like, close your eyes and imagine yourself at a young age, maybe 3 or 5 or 8, you know? And once I did that, I was like, okay, I could visualize myself like in a young form in my mind. And then she was like, now imagine your current self at whatever age you are, having a conversation with them. And I was like, all right.
What I tell younger me.
Yeah, exactly. That's like, tell yourself that you're loved, and tell yourself that you're safe, and tell yourself that you're okay. And I don't know, it was this insane experience, because I think the way you walk into it, it's like, I realized that those words that I was saying to myself are the words I wanted so desperately to hear, but I always searched for other people to tell that to me. So it was the first time I actually offered myself what I needed. And it was so powerful because I actually felt safe and I felt loved because I was hearing what I so desperately needed. And that's why, like, I slept on guided meditation for the longest, but now I really realize, like, having somebody to hold your hand and walk you into your own
Yeah,
mind.
because sometimes you can't get there by yourself because you just don't know how.
Right, exactly. You don't know the thoughts.
Like, you don't know how to travel to that part of your brain and really dig it out. Some people just
Right.
don't have discipline. Some people really needed to have it shown to them. And like, I got into meditating like through, I did martial arts growing up, so like I learned discipline that way and really calming the mind and not letting anger be the lead emotion as a man, because that's the things that as a male it's easy. The anger just comes so fluidly, like it would just, so to really take a step back and, well, it was just like, I know what, when I would sit down and meditate, I was like, I want to go figure out why I don't like to make eye contact or some shit like that. Like, I know for the reason why I don't like to make eye contact is because when I was younger, or to this day, I suffer from jaundice, which causes my eyes to be yellow.
Yeah.
And when people would talk to me, they would always point it out, and it would make me self-conscious. It would make me nervous, and then I got shy about it, and I just didn't know how to fix it because there really nothing I can do about it. Like, no matter what I did, my eyes would always look yellow to somebody who's looking at me. But to me, they just look like they're my eyes. Like, I don't really know what I'm looking at. So it was just, then when I finally got to understanding, well, this is why, that's the reason why I don't like making eye contact with people. Well, it's just like I had to consciously, well, like, I'm going to start making this eye contact with people. I'm going to start really not being so conscious, because I don't think that they're thinking about what I'm thinking about when they're looking at me.
Right.
See what I'm saying? Yeah, it's just, it's like a mind fuck. Like, I just had to go unwind it.
Head about it and understand and find that security with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
You got any questions that you want to answer? Anything that you think we should talk about?
Me? I don't know. I'm getting ready to close up because I think
Yeah. I know I felt it.
For like 3 hours, but I'm really like, it's such a good conversation that I'm just like, well, I'll be here for another 30.
Yeah. You know,
bro, but this is really cool though, bro. And I really appreciate you coming on here and, like, you know, being able to explore your mind. Just as a friend, I really like appreciate being able to experience, like, just your thoughts and just how well you put them together. Like, you've always been a very, like, intellectual person. I think it's really cool now to be able to see you apply that to the larger aspect of yourself and to see, like, where that develops into. But I really appreciate
learned a lot from you, man. It took me a while because it's just like nobody would challenge my intellect. Like, I had to go be around people to really bring out a certain thing. That's why I appreciate you so much. And you, Kylo, Kyle, everybody that was around, like that, they brought an energy that I didn't know I needed at the time.
Word.
And it impacted me in ways that I'm still figuring out now. And so, like, the time that we spent during the summer, just really just having fun, being people, like, really, like, we're just out here being human beings. Like, that was the funniest shit. Like, for real, just going on long walks, having talks, like, and really, because it was just like, I couldn't have this conversation with my mom. Couldn't have this conversation with my dad. I wasn't at a place that had this conversation with my sister because I really had just met her. Like, I didn't have anyone to really, so I just kept it all to myself. And because keeping it all to myself, I didn't have a way. Keeping it all to myself, it was unorganized. It was poorly organized, and it was just everywhere. So I had all the keys that I needed. I just didn't know where the fuck they were on the chain. And I just, you're sitting there at the door, just like, fuck. This looks like the one. No, that's not it. So, yeah,
Word, bro. I feel that.
Nah, yeah, definitely you'll have the answer, but it's not, it's not there when you need it.
You're not equipped to apply it yet.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
But I think, bro, like we were talking about earlier, man, it just means allowing yourself the room and the time and the patience to grow. Understanding, like, the change you want to make in your life is not going to happen in an instant. So you have to allow yourself that room to grow and to make mistakes and to fall and to learn and to continue on.
Exactly. Like you got to do that podcast because you have the. Don't let anybody tell you different. This is Trey speaking directly to Carter. You should do that podcast because you have the audience for it. Not only do you have the audience for it, you have the content for it. Even if people weren't listening, you're saying something that people need to hear, and
Wow.
to have it somewhere that they can access it is gonna do is you're not gonna understand the power that you've given to people and the power that you gave yourself. So I think you definitely need to stop bullshitting on it, bro. You
All
need
right,
to
bro.
stop
Like,
bullshitting
no,
on it.
man. You've inspired me, bro. I appreciate it. I'm actually
Yeah.
like this
'Cause
next week. I am going to like on Monday morning. I'm gonna get up and I'm going to do what I can because I have the equipment here. So I'm gonna like actually think it through and I'll probably
Yeah,
call
so
you.
you bullshitting.
I'm
Yeah,
going
so
to
you
set it up, bro.
bullshitting.
I am, bro. Like realistically, I am. But no, I am like this entire like this live tonight. Like really like just inspired me. Just kind of seeing the impact that it has more than anything. I think a big thing for me is like that, like me and Nate were talking about that imposter syndrome, where I think I don't often realize the impact that what I do has, and it's not for me. Like I really believe that like God is purposing me to do this, but I keep like getting in my own head like no, like I gotta wait and I gotta get myself right to do this, and I just realized like no, like I'm seeing now even just like just being who I am today and not comparing myself to who I think I need to be is enough.
And I'm glad you said imposter syndrome because that was the original point about ego is about imposter syndrome is really caused by just poor expressions of ego. Like you be feeling like an imposter because it doesn't feel like you haven't taken the time to say that you're worthy of this. I'm capable of this. I can do this in a manner where it's not like, oh, I can do this because I'm the greatest. I do this because I would do my best at it. And me doing my best at it is all that I can do.
Wow.
And just putting that energy into it, it'll progress and flow out in ways that are just beautiful.
Wow.
So imposter syndrome, that was the thing that that was the big point that I really wanted to get on. I just didn't have a word at the time.
Nah,
You and your great spelling,
words, bro.
great
I appreciate
spelling.
that for real. I'm gonna
Walking
sit down.
dictionary.
I'm gonna sit down this week and like actually I'm gonna put it together. I'm going to put this podcast together. The live is actually about to end in a minute. It's counting down right now, but
Man,
like,
solid 60.
I just want to quickly thank just everybody who came on, you, Trey, Nayway, everybody, Faith, everybody who came on and had a conversation.
Faith, dude from South Africa. We can't.
Everybody,
I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah, everybody that
even
came
people
on.
in the comments, like I'm really grateful for like just everyone kind of being.
Yeah, this right here is great energy.
Yeah, this right here
guys,
is just, like,
this is right
beautiful.
here. This we like the platform that you're building is essential right now. Like that's what I want you to know. The platform that you are building is essential. People
we are building, bro. We are building.
Hey man, like I want to be a part of it, but I don't want to take no credit.
Nah, but it's all of us. Like this conversation wouldn't happen without you being where you are right now. You know,
exactly.
So it's like, all right, I gotta close this live because I don't want it to end before I can save it. But
all right, bro.
We'll be
I love you.
Love you too, bro. All right. All right, and everybody else, much love to you as well. I'm gonna end it real quick, but really, like, I offer so much gratitude for everyone here, and I pray for like all of you, just peace and development and growth. And I'll save all these lives so you can go back and watch them. But yeah, much love, peace.